Join us on Now We Consume. Take in the knowledge, take in the laughs, indulge in the topics with us. The Now We Consume podcast will take you through the parts of your day you normally dread. Why suffer through the existential crisis of life alone when you can do it with us? And now we consume.
This is not meant to be a conspiracy episode or podcast, but we may cover some topics that dance that line like a toddler dances on their mother's last nerve. This podcast is rated I, for immature audiences only.
If you are someone that routinely questions your own sanity, life choices, and also hates the government, then you too are in the right place. Welcome back to Now We Consume. I am your host, Gibbs, and along with me is my co-host, Pip.
I'm here. Hello.
You're here? That's it? That's all I got out of you?
I am here. I am one with the show.
But all right. So, on today's episode, we want to talk about basically the absolutely, how should I say, diabolical nature of the American healthcare and food system.
Healthcare?
Our food. Sorry.
That's a different episode.
I got a little ahead.
Yes.
But our food is just absolutely terrible in this country. We kind of wanted to go over some more generalized details, some more, discussions, topics around it, and kind of our own thoughts and experiences with it, as well as a little bit of research we've done. But basically, really, this is kind of being brought about by some of the stuff that I know RFK is kind of doing.
AKA Brainworm. I in fact, will be referring to him as Brainworm in the podcast.
It is like, it's nice that he's taking a stand on that and actually wanting to do something about the crap chemicals we put in our food.
Absolutely.
But I will admit, I think the messaging could be better on it, but that's something we'll get into in a little bit later.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I do want to preface this, that aside from the shit that's in our food, a lot of it is the American mindset. We overeat, we overdo it because America. And that's just a fact of the way we've been raised. We are a land of plenty. We are used to having too much to go around. And honestly, I think our waistlines show it. The irony that we have come to enjoy is having our double quarter pounder meals and having the Diet Coke with it. I mean, sure, you cut out what you can where you can. But at the end of the day, moderation is not just a place that happens to exist where you happen to be that day. So
you're not wrong. Well, the reason I want to bring up the healthcare thing was really because a lot of this kind of stems from, you're right, with what Americans think is healthy and with the food pyramid that they released in the 50s and 60s. I know we touched briefly upon that a little bit.
Yes.
But a lot of our health problems stem from not just the chemicals and the poison food, which we're going to get into, but this really starts from in America when it comes to the food pyramid with being your grains, your calories, your calorically dense foods being at the bottom, and putting things like meat and vegetables and fruit way up higher to have less of, which is really kind of the exact opposite of what you want to do. And then over the years, with chemicals being cheaper than using actual food, or really with a lot of cases, a lot of chemicals being byproducts in the process of making other foods, I'm saying, hey, what's a better way to get rid of it? Oh, put it in the food, but then also vice versa in America, because we're such a big country, it's, hey, we need to add preservatives so the food stays good for longer, because then we make more money. So it's this compounding problem that we've been dealing with.
Yeah. One of the, and let me ask you this, do you know why they started putting preservatives in the food to the extent that they did? And I'll give you a hint. It was not simply just for shelf life. Now it was shelf life adjacent.
I thought it was further. I thought they started using, they wanted the food to look colorful and a lot of stuff. So they started using food dyes and different preservatives to keep it.
Well, that was just for food dyes, but originally it was because of shipping. They needed the food to last long enough. A lot of it stemmed from when the highway system was just developing. The trucks would take too long for stuff to get to the stores. So the food would be half rotten or all the way rotten if trucks got held up. Now, a lot of this came about as your highways were developing, places that needed it were not using the farm to table methods. So they were getting their stuff in from the bigger places. They needed ways to preserve the food for longer. Now, smaller communities that were still using the farm to table mentality, they didn't need that stuff because it wasn't going as far.
No, but really with the emergence of our modern metropolis, basically,
Yes.
with places like New York City, Boston, LA, and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
With the
When you
places to
have
where-
when you have an overabundance of people and an underabundance of food, and you have to start bringing it in from further away to meet the needs, that's when it starts to play in.
And that's kind of the problem with every major metropolis, the suburbs have gotten farther and farther out. So then the agricultural areas have gotten farther and farther out. And I mean, to be honest with you, like I'm just in the New England area. You have to go significantly far away from Boston in order to find farms. People might say, "Oh yeah, there's a farm around or in Boston." Let's be real. It's not actually what you would consider a farm that produces enough to have a meaningful impact.
No.
Those farms usually make niche things, or they supply a couple of restaurants or a few different places. If they left, they wouldn't even have an impact on the people that actually live there.
Yeah, you'd
And
never
I hate
know.
to say it. Same thing with New York or any of the other major cities. The farms have been pushed so far away that I hate to say it, preservatives and some things are almost necessary by the time they can actually be, produced and then
Used.
manufactured and everything. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the distance is definitely a big thing, especially where there's also something else that's kind of considered in America. We don't really have that many walkable areas or cities. Everything is by automotive, by car. Whereas over in Europe and a lot of other countries where they'll have a daily bread maker, the local person that makes the bread, that has the chickens, gets the meat, does the butchers, whatever. Whereas America, almost nobody lives in a city where you actually just walk around.
Well,
Even a lot of major cities, you still don't even necessarily only walk around. It's only in the top 5.
I was just saying, your top 10, maybe top 15 cities you would walk around, but you probably don't walk more than a few blocks from where you live. So that's going to be your bubble, aside from your commute to work. If you have a commute to work, rather.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you're pretty much right on that.
That's kind of the big difference there.
Yeah.
So in America, it's one of the factors where we have to have food that can be preserved for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because also you have to consider too, with the increases in taxes and regulations, as well as things like the introduction of pesticides and a lot of other things. We can talk about the Monsanto stuff later on.
DDT.
Yep. It basically
what's
with
Roundup?
Yep, exactly.
Roundup's
that's
delicious.
what Monsanto made. But
Tastes like bacon.
But with the destruction of a lot of the small farms as well, and being taken up by corporations, large, monopolies, the issue has always been that every single year, more and more of the family farms not only push farther away from the city, but they're also bought up and or destroyed, or in case of certain areas, regulations make it impossible to farm.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in my state, there's a big thing about making right to farm communities, where the idea is if you're not in a right to farm community, they can actually go after you for farming on your own land if you don't have the explicit right. Oh yeah, because they'll say they don't want fertilizer on the land, because what happens if that affects the environment or does other stuff, or if you have animals that create a smell that's an undue smell on other people's property, they shouldn't have to smell that. It's all that kind of stuff. So in my state, that's why there's the big argument.
I'm sorry. The farm was there first. They chose to move in.
To them, it doesn't matter. It's unsightly.
They're unsightly. Move along.
I know. My response is get a mirror. They'll learn.
But the protests in France, I think they're doing some things right. That's how you handle neighbors like that.
Yeah, you just take a harvester and dump a literal fuck ton of shit on their property.
Exactly.
Here you go.
Here's your unsightly right there on your doorstep.
Oh, man.
Thank you very much.
Man.
Move along.
You know what? The French aren't professional at many things, but protesting is something that they're really fucking good at.
Right? I mean,
my God.
Didn't they invent the guillotine?
Yeah, they're really good at revolutions, but they're really good at almost doing them.
Right.
They'll do a revolution, almost go all the way through it.
Right.
And then they end up back with the same bullshit oligarchy.
Yep.
I don't know. It's this weird thing with them. But anyways, that's a whole different...
Fun sidebar. I went to look at some guns at a gun store years ago. Guy showed me a French rifle, and I asked him, "Also, it's only been dropped once."
All right, that's a new one. I like that. That's funny. That's funny.
Uh,
Oh man,
it took him a solid second to think about that when he started cracking up laughing.
man.
But
They didn't even make that many good rifles either. Now that I think about it.
yeah, they've only had a
Jesus.
few. So I guess we could start right at the top of our notes. We have some of the worst food standards in the world. Period. A lot of our food is banned in other countries, not just for the chemicals that are in it, but because of the ingredients that we allow in it. A lot of our bread counts as cake in other countries because of the amount of sugar in it. Why our bread has to have sugar in it is beyond me. Now, I understand putting sugar in it for like the fermenting process for the yeast. I get that part. And beyond that, bread does not need sugar. Bread is fine without it. I have had homemade bread without sugar. It's delicious. It's bread. It's supposed to taste like bread, not sweet bread. I've had sweet bread. Sweet bread is great. You don't need to have the sugar unless it's sweet bread.
No.
I'll get off my soapbox there. You want to take the next one?
Well, what I did want to make up is like, bread is one of those things where anyone can learn to make at home.
Yeah.
Even like sourdough bread and other stuff.
I
Like that.
was getting ready to say sourdough has become the new housewife craze.
Well, the thing is, right, is to go to a store and get actually good bread in America.
It's fucking expensive.
It's not only expensive, but most of it has still been sitting around for a day or two.
Uh-huh.
Like you know how bad it is? My girlfriend and I, we actually order from a local lady that makes them. And mind you, I pay $10 for a loaf of sourdough. It's the best sourdough I've ever had in my life. But it's the only person around. We're working on it.
For $10 a loaf, y'all need to start making that shit.
We have some plans in the works, don't you worry.
Okay.
But it's the idea that like there were things that a lot of Americans, it was very typical for a lot of American families to used to be able to make your own bread. Yeah. Like I even have like a machine at my house that's for making like the non-sourdough, like the regular breads and stuff like that. It used to be common knowledge, but now it's because people don't have the time or don't have whatever, they don't make it. But also finding any sort of person that like knows how to make these foods, even just generic stuff, it's actually rather difficult. If at least in my area, anyway. We found like a couple of people for whatever fucking reason. But anyways, did you want me to go down to the specific chemicals that we're
I definitely
about?
want to hit on one of the big additives, potassium bromate. That one's used as a dough strengthener in baked goods, like breads and rolls. That's been linked to cancer in animal studies. Absolutely banned in the European Union, the UK, Canada, and a lot of other countries. California will be banning it completely, effective 2027.
You know, that's probably the first time California's banned something, and I agree with it.
Yeah.
Like that's why would we even want that? Like
the list gets worse the further down that we go.
You're kidding.
So that's probably like the least bad one that we have on the list.
Okay.
Do you want to take the next one?
Sure.
BVO?
Yep. Bromated vegetable oil. This one I have actually heard of before we were doing this list. Used as an emulsifier in citrus-flavored drinks, like some sodas, contains bromine found in flame retardants, linked to neurological issues, banned in the EU, Japan, and India. FDA recently moved to revoke its approval. Here's my question. Who is the jackass that approved that in the first place?
Yep.
Like the minute you know it can be linked to neurological issues, you should immediately pull it and say, we gotta look at this first.
It's
like,
too cheap to do that though, Gibbs. It's so cost effective, who cares? It's probably cheaper to write off a paycheck to a lawsuit that may or may not get settled than it is to stop using this as an additive in your drinks.
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm gonna hold off on my FDA rant until we get to it.
We have a whole episode planned on the FDA and FEMA and all that other shit. Some of the alphabet agencies. One of my personal favorites to rant about: titanium dioxide. Used as a whitening agent in many processed foods, including candies, desserts, and soups. It is the white part of the white icing in Pop-Tarts. That's like the most known use of titanium dioxide in food. The EU has banned it as a food additive, citing genotoxicity concerns, potentially damaging to DNA. It is still allowed in the US, though California recently banned it. It is an industrial cleaning agent.
So, this is one of those things that I wish I didn't learn on this podcast.
Yeah.
Because that used to be a guilty pleasure of mine, was having a Pop-Tart.
Uh-huh.
The maple and brown sugar ones in particular were like a sweet spot with me.
Yeah. I used to love the s'mores ones. Yeah.
And they have titanium dioxide.
It's in like industrial strength degreasers.
So what the fuck is it doing in the food?
Exactly.
The whitening agent? Well, how is that the easiest road to make it whiter? I mean, fuck, look at us. We're white as shit.
I know. That's probably where I get a lot of it.
That's probably my problem. That's why I can't tan anymore. Too many goddamn Pop-Tarts.
Yeah.
Give him Oside chats and give me a minute. I'm going to throw up my brown sugar Pop-Tarts. Yeah, dude, that's wild. Because so just so chat knows, I only looked up a few of these before because I wanted to react to these live. That one actually makes me really sad. Like, I hope everyone at home understands that, like, a Pop-Tart to me have like a special connection, and that you just ruined tomorrow's breakfast for me. Thank you.
You are welcome, sir.
Now I have to find some other way to start my work week. That's
yeah.
Great. And to all those people at home that are listening to the podcast that morning had a Pop-Tart, and now they're listening, I'm sorry. But potential damage to DNA?
Yeah.
Genotoxicity? Like, what?
Yeah.
That is
so. I had to dig just a tiny bit. Commonly used in auto lubricant products such as greases, gears, gear and engine oil, can also be found in, if this loads, cosmetics, building materials. Let's see, it's non-flammable.
Well,
it's a common ingredient in concrete. So there you go.
Nice. Solid.
Plastics and rubbers, pigments and coatings. But it can be found in things such as coffee creamer, non-organic milks. Yeah. Salad dressings.
Wait a minute. If you just
infant formula.
No.
Yes.
Fucking no.
We're feeding. We start our kids off right.
That's why I really believe we should just go breast milk if you can do it. Because,
oh, 100%.
So many of the kid formulas are full of shit that I learned recently.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's a baby formula? Why? Why does it matter what color it is? If it's a whitening agent, why?
Yes.
Okay. Oside Chat is asking the right question. Hold on. Which creamer? Also, if you ruined Fairlife milk for me, I am going to have a fucking problem. If that stuff is in Fairlife, I live off that shit as a man that's trying to eat fewer calories and drink more protein. That's... No, don't you do this to me.
I'm sorry, Gibbs.
No, don't do this.
Yes.
No.
Fairlife milk products contain titanium dioxide, specifically low-fat and skim milk varieties, as well as some chocolate milk options.
God damn it, Bob. Now, I mean, I'm sure my DNA can handle a little bit of Fairlife. I don't know if I can give that stuff up. It's so good. It's that pisses me off.
Okay,
I wonder
now
if it's in the chocolate one. Maybe it's only
what's
the
that?
vanilla one. I wonder if it's in the chocolate one. Maybe it's
yes. It's specifically called out chocolate as well. Yes. So there you go.
Well, just shoot me in the balls. Why don't you?
Yeah.
Everything sucks.
I know. I'm going to let you take the next one, but I do want to have a little sidebar on this. So go ahead and take this one away. So
this one I do have a sidebar on as well.
We may have the same sidebar.
probably very similar. The U.S. also allows artificial food dyes, dyes like Red 3, which are recently banned, but as well as they will be banning things like Red 40, Yellow 5, Yellow 6, Blue 1, Blue 2. Now, this I have actually seen before, and I do want to back up here. It's linked to hyperactivity in children and potential cancer risks in animal studies. It requires warning labels in the EU and are banned in some European countries. They're found in candies, things like Skittles, M&Ms, although M&Ms in Sweden are banned due to a trademark issue, not dyes. But they're in things like cereals, processed snacks, and drinks. Basically anything with a bright color to it that's either red, blue, yellow, any one of the primaries. So something that my girlfriend noticed, because she works with kids that are on the spectrum, she noticed years ago, mind you, this is like 4 or 5 years ago, that some of the kids have a big reaction to certain food dyes.
Yep.
Some kids are fine. Some kids totally are not. Some kids, whether it be ADHD or ADD or even, on the autism spectrum or anything like that, it would totally, for some of those kids, throw out their routine. It would just throw them completely out of whack.
Yep.
And she always mentioned something to me about it. And like, I believed her, don't get me wrong, but I never really looked into it until more recently. And like, holy crap, there are some kids that it's like putting them on a drug. Like you would think that, it's just a dye. In our minds, you're thinking, it's just like something that's like a colored water type of thing, or maybe like a light chemical, but nothing crazy. No, some of that stuff is nasty.
Yeah, some of these food dyes are insane. The sidebar I wanted to specifically mention was these food dyes are getting banned. Yes. A lot of the companies have already started to submit chemical name changes to get around the bans. A lot of the lists are already coming out.
That should not be allowed.
Money talks, buddy.
Yeah, but the FDA needs to make a rule that for one chemical composition, it should have one name and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So this is actually, my mom's been fighting for this actually in the local government for a while, because she has like a brain and spinal fluid issue. So for her, food is really important because she has a severe MSG allergy where if she has it, she's basically disabled for a day.
Oh, wow.
Because, basically it affects her neurologically. So essentially with her, with something like that gets into her system, she has severe migraines and sometimes can't move her limbs, sometimes can't do other things. It's a little freaky. She's like one of like 50 people or something like that in the world that have that condition. But it's her problem of like MSG is allowed to have like 20 different names. So, and sometimes they'll change it every few years.
Yeah.
So sometimes she'll go to a store, buy something, and then come home, eat it, and then we'll wonder why she's passed out on the couch and, got to pick her up, bring her upstairs, do whatever. But like, it's something to where why the hell is it mandated? There should be one name for one chemical composition. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, I stumbled across the list. I'm going to try to remember to put it up in the Discord later. The ones that I was able to find, because that's information worth sharing.
That's something I actually kind of want to be on top of.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people could use that information.
Yeah. That's bullshit. That's beyond dirty and underhanded. Is trying to get around a banning by changing the name of a chemical. No, fuck that.
That's a hell of a precedent that sets.
Right?
I'm not stealing your shit. I'm just tactically acquiring it. Like, I want to tell you.
Hey, it worked for Ukraine, right? BHA and BHT, butylated. Jesus Christ. Hydroxynsole and butylated hydroxytoluene. I got that one.
There you go.
Preservatives used to prevent spoilage in cereals, snacks, and packaged foods. Animal studies suggest potential leaks to cancer. It has been banned in the EU and Japan. Let me just say this. If you cannot easily pronounce it, it should not be going in our mouths. If it cannot easily come out of the mouth, it should not easily go into the mouth. Like penis.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were going to do it. The problem is you're being an asshole because someone has a lisp, it doesn't easily come out of their mouth. So, congratulations.
It's like the Tyson effect. Penis.
Anyways, but no, I do agree with you that there are some things to where if it's even questionable, why the hell is it allowed?
Yeah.
Especially, like, why aren't we looking at other countries and being like, hey, if even they, mind you, this is Japan, who they're not exactly known for eating the cleanest food when 80% of what they eat is seafood. A lot of it has, like,
no.
other poison.
Japan has got some extremely rigorous food safety requirements. Now
they
when
do.
India, if some of these, we already mentioned India has banned some of this shit. When a country like India is saying, no, that's too dangerous for our food, buddy,
Have you seen
they allow the street food to exist in that country. And oh my God.
Have you ever seen the AI videos of the average Indian man? And it just shows like a video of Gandhi just basically shitting straight diarrhea, floating like a hovercraft going down the street. The entire street is brown. Everything is brown. It's stuff like that.
The street food videos from India upset my stomach for 3 days. Just the videos. It's so bad.
My favorite one was the guy that literally scratched inside of his asshole and go serve people food with the same hand.
Yeah.
I never wanted to go to India before, but now I really think we might want to nuke it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of at this point. Hey, if India and Pakistan go to war, at this point, it looks like they might. At this point, do we just kind of like step out of the way and be like, well,
it's a problem that solves itself.
But no, what I was getting at with Japan is like, with what their standards used to be with the amount of fish that they ate and the amount of crap that they ate out of the ocean, if even they have had this stuff banned for a while, why doesn't that raise a red flag?
Yeah.
You're like, they might be onto something.
Yeah.
But no, why would we?
Yeah. I'll let you take this next one.
Oh.
Good luck with that one.
Azotocarbonamide.
Yeah.
Or short ADA. It's a dough conditioner used in some breads and baked goods, also used to make yoga mats, linked to respiratory issues like asthma by the World Health Organization, banned in the EU. You know what?
Yes, I love chewing on a yoga mat.
You know what I was going to say? Every time I have bread or something, I can think, man, this does not taste as good as my yoga mat. For whatever reason, it just doesn't compare. It's just not as salty. I don't know. I just can't.
Yeah.
Can't deal with it. Ugh. I don't know.
Gotta have that taste of fresh taint sweat to go down.
Need that good gooch juice, right? Well, Did you get asthma because of the bread? Maybe Oside. Maybe.
You may have a bread allergy because of the stuff in the bread, buddy.
You know what? That is something that I don't know if it's because we report it more often nowadays, or maybe more people have it, but I know
food
a lot
allergies.
of people have asthma.
Well, not just asthma, but food allergies in general. I'm not so sure it's because of the food itself or because of the additives in the food. But a lot of the food allergies that we have now did not exist 50 years ago.
I know.
So, RBST and RBGH, recombinant bovine somatropin growth hormone, synthetic hormone given to cows to increase milk production, linked to potential health issues in cows and elevated levels of IGF-1 in milk, which some studies suggest could be linked to certain cancers in humans. It's been banned in the EU, Canada, and other nations. Still legal in the US. Milk is often labeled if it's RBST free.
Which, by the way, to find milk that's RBST free, you have to basically buy specialty milk. Any of the regular milks you get at grocery stores, they have it in it. I've tried.
Yeah.
That's something I've tried before.
Yeah. So drink milk to get your dose of growth hormone. Hey, drink your milk, you grow up big and strong, right?
They weren't wrong. They weren't wrong, but they didn't mention the cancer. That's the problem. That's why you're bigger. You got an extra couple pounds of cancer on you. Yeah. Whoops.
It's just a mass. It's okay. It's benign.
It's fine. If you let it go long enough, it'll be a third arm. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Jesus
this is delicious. This one's tasty. Nom, 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 nom. Give it to me, Gibbs. It's so tasty. It's so tasty.
Could you not? Jesus Christ. I don't know what's wrong with you. How many times have you dropped as a
So
child?
much. Only
Jesus
twice.
Christ. Only twice. What, down 3 flights of stairs?
2.
Okay. Fair enough. Anyways, besides the point. There's also chlorine washed chicken, the practice of washing chicken in
So
chlorine bath.
tasty.
Would you quit it? God damn. But there is the practice in different factories of basically washing the chicken in chlorine baths to kill off bacteria. That has been in the EU over concerns it can mask poor hygiene practices. I will tell you this, as someone that owns chickens, I have friends that raise chickens, that slaughter them, do everything. If you do it right, you don't need to chlorine wash them. You don't need to do any of that. So if other companies are doing it, it's because they're probably doing what they consider the free range chickens, which are like 10,000 chickens in a big warehouse, and they call it free range, and they basically never give them sun, never give them air, never give them whatever. They just fatten them up and then let them die or kill them. But they get so big that they basically fall over, break their legs, and then they die. You really don't need to do that if you're doing it right. So the fact that they do it means you know they are not screening this stuff. They're not doing it properly. But it's really inherent with the problem when you're trying to deal, several 100,000 pounds of chicken a day. Is really there's just no manpower. There's no way to do that effectively. So this is kind of like the natural problem with it. So it's a damn shame that, our standards are better with it, but is it chlorine? Isn't that what they were talking about? That also could be like a carcinogen. So just saying.
You'd have to fact check me on this, but I believe it's one of the ones that is fat soluble. And that's why it's such an issue.
I didn't know that.
I might be thinking of something else, so please fact check me on that one. But if I'm wrong, please let me know.
So what I'm hearing is if I spend enough time in a pool and I cut me open, I could taste the chlorine.
Possibly.
Okay.
That's a different, should be a different type of chlorine. But
fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, sidebar, since you mentioned pools, did you know if you're in a swimming pool and you can smell chlorine, it's not actually the chlorine you're smelling.
Yep.
You're smelling the chemical reaction between chlorine and all the pee in the water.
Yep.
There's your fun fact for the day. I just ruined swimming pools for you.
See, that's why you just don't have
public pools.
Nah.
I can't do public pools anymore. Water parks. I can't do water parks anymore because of that. That and cryptosporidia that exists.
What?
Cryptosporidia.
The fuck is that?
The disease that you get from a water park because people don't know how to wipe their butt.
What?
I'll let you look that one up. It's fun.
All right. Why do I feel like that's not fun?
Oh, it's not. There's a water park in Columbus in Central Ohio. Big water park. It used to get shut down like every other week for crypto outbreaks.
So what I'm hearing is you go to a water park in Columbus and you end up on an episode of House.
Basically, yeah.
That sounded like. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The grass loophole, not the poop hole.
Ew.
Explain the generally recognized as safe, GRAS, designation in the U.S. that under this system, manufacturers can declare substances safe for use in food without mandatory FDA pre-market approval, highlighting that this system relies heavily on industry information that the FDA has not reviewed the safety of the food additives. This is used as a loophole to get around FDA requirements. So they can pay people to do the studies, just like Marlboro paid doctors to say cigarettes are safe back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And they can get around, use the grass loophole to say, yes, this is generally recognized as safe because we only did a limited study and we saw no degradation in health.
Yeah. If you do it like, oh yeah, we observed him for a week. We gave him 1/10 the dose and he seemed fine. So like, it's safe. I mean, it's not a big,
Yeah.
Or they'll do it in relative to other things. Like, oh, yeah, it's safe. As what? Relative to what? Jumping off a 30-story building? Like, yeah, it's safer than that, so it's generally safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Using legal loopholes when it comes to food safety, probably not the best avenue. Just my 2 cents.
When we do the FDA episode, you guys are going to understand this. This is something I looked up a while ago. Tyson Chicken spends more money on hiring lawyers to get around safety standards than they do on actually having safety standards. So, because I watched a documentary on that years ago. Yeah.
I don't buy Tyson Chicken for that reason specifically.
You know, every day I get older, there's another day that I understand why people are into homesteading.
Uh-huh.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
But
so outside of using legal loopholes, lobbying power, I think lobbying should just go the fuck away. It should not exist.
that is something that we actually covered on a previous episode.
Yeah.
I had a solution for that one.
Did it involve a guillotine?
Well, we can. That'd be the final step on that one. But basically, how it really should be with any of these companies is it just should all be done on a public platform, a public website, where any official inquiry or lobbying should be done. You know, obviously, no funds can exchange or no quid pro quo, none of that. It should be the case of like, hey, I work for, let's just pick on them again. I work for Tyson Chicken, and you know, if you pass this law with this chemical, this is going to affect my business in this way, and this is what we have to do to get around it. Help me out. Maybe a different law would be better, or vice versa. Cool. As long as it's all out in the public, I really don't think lobbying is bad. It's because it's done in secret with a quid pro quo of, hey, you get this law passed for me, and I'll give you a lake house. And they wonder somehow after these politicians can work in the office for 10 years and then be worth $200 million. That's why.
Well, that and stock trading.
Oh, yeah.
I do like the Pelosi Act. Have you heard about that?
Well, which I've heard of like 3 different kinds.
The one where they gave it the acronym for the allowance of stock trading. It's actually, the acronym is Pelosi because of the bullshit she did.
Oh, yeah. I like it. I should.
Dumb bitch. Lack of transparency.
Not wrong. Well, you know what, though? Correction. She's not dumb.
No, she's not. She's incredibly smart.
She's very smart. The problem is she's a hypocrite and she's an asshole. So that's the problem. She claims to be for the poor and anti-wealthy and against, almost like a Bernie style, but yet she's literally part of the oligarchy. So, like, come on. You know. Anyways.
That a thought just burst into my head. The creepy ass new guy that's head of the European World Union with the one weird eye. I don't remember his name.
Oh, are you talking about the WHO? No, you're talking about oh, gee, oh crap.
He looks creepy as fuck. He looks like a bad guy out of the comic books.
Yeah. It'll take me a minute to remember who it is.
Yeah. He was saying that access to water is not a basic human right beyond like minimum needs.
Well, he and Dasani would agree.
Yeah. He was saying that people should have enough to drink, to bathe, but not enough for a pool, not enough for car washes. But then when you look at his house, one of his houses, he's got like a couple of big pools. It's funny.
Waterfall fountains and all this other stuff and outdoor showers. And, you know, any single politician or the person that wants to tell you how to regulate your life means they want more for themselves every single time.
Absolutely.
It is never, ever, ever for the sake of safety or environmental health every single time they lie. How do you know? Because you look at their stock portfolio, you look at their money, and every single time they just use fearmonger to get more money.
Yep.
Look at someone like AOC, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
She said she was for the people, for nothing, does all this warmongering, and all of a sudden, hey, she's somehow worth a lot more.
Yep.
She's only been in office for a few years.
And she did it without OnlyFans.
You know, miraculously. I expected her to break that record.
A lot of people hope for it too. Lack of transparency, highlighting the issues with transparency and the interactions between the food industry of the lobbyists and the government officials. There have been a lot of reports that have talked about all the meetings, like you were just saying, that did not happen publicly. There are a lot of descriptions and vagueness that are left out that we never hear about. Deals that get made that we never are privy to. Laws and changes that get made that go off the books and then happen without us knowing.
All the time.
We can't know if we don't know. I know it sounds stupid, but it's such a basic concept.
We have this weird problem in the U.S. where they say ignorance is no excuse for the law, but yet we're never notified or told when the laws are
Of the
changing.
law.
Yeah.
Right.
It's our responsibility to be almost clairvoyant and be able to telepathically read our lawmakers' minds and be like, oh, tomorrow potassium bromate will be illegal. Like, how the fuck are we supposed how are we supposed to know this shit? Number one. And also number two, all this stuff is purposely done behind closed doors, so you'll never know. We'll never know. You'll never know. It's just, it's fuga. It's whatever. It's just, it's this ethereal thing.
Yeah.
And who knows if the law is ever going to be enforced? That's another topic we've talked about several times on this, which is there are so many other laws here that they might be happening, but if they're enforced or not, does it really matter? Does it really?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to go back and touch on something real quick. We were talking about all the chemicals that are used in food. That's totally not even mentioning the foods that are made entirely of chemicals. Like one of our favorite things, ramen noodles. If you've never watched how ramen noodles are made, I highly encourage you to watch that process. Those things are like 90% chemicals. They're delicious, and I'll be the first to say it. But fucking hell, they are just hardened chemicals in a pouch with salty powdered goodness.
Why do you think it's $1? Or thanks
Not
to
even
our
$1.
Recent politicians, why do you think it's now $1? You used to get that shit for 30 cents each or 50 cents.
I remember, I'm dating myself. I remember back when it was 12 cents a bag.
Fuck off. Oh my God.
Back in my day.
Imagine having a week's worth of food for a couple of dollars. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The whole big box used to be $2.
That's insane.
That wasn't that long ago, really.
Yeah, see, now those are $1 each.
Wow.
At least around here. But you know what? Something to consider too. If you want to talk about shit that's in food, have you ever seen the documentaries on how the McDonald's chicken nuggets are made?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and this is, I am a pro meat guy. I love eating meat. I will tell you right now, after I watch that, I can't watch again or else I will feel too guilty. There are certain things that you just, and they add a bunch of chemicals and other shit in there. Just,
Yeah.
You know what the sad part is? In a week, I'll still go have some. I'll admit it.
So, okay. Since you brought up McDonald's.
Yeah.
I have moved very far away from eating McDonald's in the past couple months. Mostly due, take it for what you will. The video that came out of the burger molding from McDonald's or Burger King
molding?
And the one not molding from McDonald's. In the course of a month, and you can do this experiment for yourself if you want. Go buy a cheap burger from Burger King and get one from McDonald's. Set them in the same covered dish if you would like, and just leave them untouched for a month and watch what happens. The mold will not grow on the McDonald's burger under any circumstance. It will not grow. It will not shrink. It will not, other than harden, it won't do anything. So I have moved away from eating McDonald's. Burger King tastes just fine to me. It's actually kind of better, I'll be honest. At least the one around here.
I'll be real with you. It's one of those things to where, realistically, I always recommend people. I wouldn't go out of my way to eat any fast food regardless, but I will admit, quite a few of them, you can taste the preservatives. You can taste all the oil and all the shit in it. It's ridiculous, the levels that they go to for those preservatives. And it's terrifying if even bacteria doesn't want to eat your shit. Like, not bacteria will eat almost anything. And if even it says, you know there's a problem. if it turns up its nose at you, I don't know. If you haven't played Fallout 4, the video game, have you?
No, I've not.
So all I could think about is when you talk about that McDonald's burger not getting moldy. There are in a couple of spots of Fallout 4, mind you, this is hundreds of years in the future after nuclear war and everything. There's a couple of automated like food dispensers you can go to, and you can get a perfectly preserved piece of pie from several hundred years ago. And it comes out, and it's like a big event and everything, because if you're a vault dweller, you've never had fresh food like that. You've never had something like that. And all I could think of is, that must be McDonald's. Like, well, the Apple fucking things or whatever, like the little packages or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just, there's no way. But the sad part is, it could, theoretically. Like,
yeah, and hey, listen, those holiday pies from McDonald's, let me tell you something, buddy. Those things fuck. They are delicious.
I know.
I am a fat kid, and I can eat those things all day. I can't help myself with them.
No, they're good.
I understand how terrible they are.
Oh, yeah. But I think it's the sad part of, like, in our foods, because we eat so many chemicals, we're used to it. It's when you don't eat that stuff for a while, and then you come back to it, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I eating? And that's part of the problem, I guess, with our food, is once you get used to those chemicals and the amount of sugar and the salt, it's when you step away from it, everything else doesn't taste that good. But then once you kind of clean that palate and you come back to it, you realize, oh, this is actually fucking terrible.
Yeah, and when you're doing a palate cleanse, you need 7 to 10 days for your taste buds to fully change out and adjust.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a quick deal.
No.
But we can go into the part talking about the American foods that have been banned globally, if you would like.
Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
So you have there's quite a few different banned ingredients in foods that are banned basically everywhere. Most of our breakfast cereals is due to the BHA/BHT and the artificial dyes.
I was gonna say Captain Crunch. That's a big one. In Canada, there's like one version.
Yeah,
and it's just like the regular Captain Crunch.
I think the best one I saw was Cinnamon Toast Crunch is basically not available anywhere else because of just the amount of sugar, the amount of cinnamon and other crap that's in it.
That's sad. That's one of my favorite cereals too.
Oh, I am a cinnamon whore. I'll be honest with you. I fucking love cinnamon. I put it on a ton of stuff, but I'll be honest. I no longer buy it. I can't.
Yeah.
Because it's too much sugar, too much fattening, too much shit. But I just for the hell of it, because I have friends from Europe and other countries, and I chat with them. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is like literally not a thing anywhere else. If it's in other countries, see, I have had when my girlfriend and I went to like a World Food store a while ago. I tried the cinnamon food, like a cinnamon cereal type thing, like a cinnamon snack type thing that was from Japan, and I was like, holy shit, does this taste way better? And it had like 6 ingredients. And I couldn't believe it. Grant you, the box was like $8 fucking. Like, I wouldn't recommend going and getting it every day. The curiosity killed me. And I was like, holy Jesus, why can't we have this here? And it's because of these fucking regulations of bullshit.
Yeah. It's crazy. No chemicals in there. And it tastes better. Wow.
It tasted great.
Crazy, huh?
I know. There's also snack cakes and pastries.
Yeah, all of our little Debras. Yeah, those are all banned.
Oh, dude, the thing that kills me are the devil dogs. I fucking love those things. And I know they're terrible. I know all I'm just eating is just, might as well just pour a box of fucking Drano down the gullet.
Man, mine are Star Crunches. I've
never heard of those. The hell's a Star Crunch?
Star Crunch from Little Debbie's?
I couldn't even tell you what that is.
Oh. Chocolate, caramel, and crisped rice.
Okay.
And some nougat. Oh.
Okay.
Buddy, I'm going to have to send you a care package.
I'm just scared what else would be in the package.
Don't ask. I know from personal experience that sodas are very different, and ketchup too, over in the Middle East especially. When I was over in that area many years ago, the ketchup tasted very different, as did the sodas.
Probably a lot less sugar and almost like a lot less salt. The ketchup.
Yeah. The ketchup tasted extremely different. Like it almost didn't have any vinegar, I want to say.
Oh,
like it was almost just like a tomato paste, almost.
I'd be okay
At
with
least
that.
the kind that I had. So it was not good.
I feel like for a lot of things that'd be better.
Yeah, I mean it probably is better. Fun fact: do you know why things like ketchup exist, and sauces for meat?
I'm assuming to cover up the smell of either bad meat or tainted meat and stuff like that.
That's exactly why it was originally invented, to cover up the rancidity of meat.
Yeah.
There's your trivia for the day. So yeah, lots of stuff that we have here is banned in other countries. Mm-hmm. I'm curious if you sent a care package to somebody, if it would even make it through customs.
I know it depends on the country. Depends on what's in it and what's disclosed and all that other stuff. There are some things I know that you can't cross the border with, depending on where you're coming from. But
yeah, like I know bananas are not allowed in, what is it, New Zealand, because there are no fruit flies there. So that's a fun one.
And different types of cheeses and there's other stuff like that.
Yeah.
The one thing I do want to say is sodas were on the list here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things I want to remind people of, I don't know if people are aware of this, but we used aspartame back in the 90s to 2000s for Diet Coke. We still do.
We still do, yeah.
Do you know, because I think you might have been around or been aware of this, what happens when aspartame is at above 120 degrees over the course of multiple hours? Do you know what becomes?
Formaldehyde.
Correct. And they wonder why a bunch of our soldiers got very, very sick and had issues. It's because they spent not just weeks, not just months, but years drinking formaldehyde.
Yep.
Which is great. That's awesome. I'm so glad we took care of our troops on that one. What the fuck? Like,
yeah. Hey man, the VA, it's a whole different chance for our vets to die for our country.
Hey, your formaldehyde poisoning is not service related.
Nope, not at all.
Oh man. But yeah, there's just a lot of all of our processed food in America.
Yeah.
It's all just banned everywhere else.
Yeah, and like I had mentioned in the opening, the American diet as a whole, over especially like the last 50 years, has moved away from things like whole unprocessed foods, like that farm to table mentality. We now have an almost total reliance on processed and ultra processed foods. I saw a thing, and if I can find the video, I'll link it in the Discord. They were showing the amount of ingredient based food or type food that is purchased or that was purchased in the 80s versus that same type that is purchased now. So it's your base ingredients that you would buy to make meals. And in the 80s, it consisted of at least 70% of the groceries. Now it's about 20.
Yeah, I believe it.
So that's pretty rough.
You know what? I was thinking about this as we're doing the podcast, and I really feel like this is something with American culture that has been weird. Have you noticed that in American culture, everything that was considered average for common folk has become a privileged thing for wealthy people, but yet all the things that were privileged for wealthy people are considered for the common folk now? Like, for example, things like lobster were considered for poor people. Now it's a rich person's thing. And there's like a few other things that are escaping my mind, but also vice versa. You look at things like fast food and quick food. It used to be like, oh, wow, you're going out to a restaurant or somewhere else. That's for rich people. We make our own food. But now it's almost becoming 180 to where, like, to find farm to table shops and restaurants and things that get fresh food, it's like a rich person thing. Like when my girlfriend and I a couple months ago went to like a farm to table breakfast, mind you,
Wasn't cheap, was it?
Do you want to take, mind you, no alcohol in this breakfast? Do you want to guess how much we spent on that with tip?
What'd you get?
I got chicken and waffles, and she got, I want to say it was like a typical, like, bacon, eggs, toast or something like that. And we each got like orange juice, milk, something like that.
In your area?
Yeah.
I'll say with tip.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say $60.
80.
Oh!
And that was, mind you, I live in an expensive area, but it's not like super expensive. So that's why we haven't gone back. But it was one of those things to where it's becoming this weird phenomenon in America where you have to be wealthy or at least have your finances in order to be able to afford to get farm to table stuff on the regular. At least maybe where I live, maybe where you live, it's a little cheaper and you could do it more often. But finding farm to table, restaurants and even just markets around here, it's kind of bananas, and they charge an extreme amount. So it's becoming a rich hobby to become a homesteader.
There's a market over by my friend. I won't say their name on here. You know them. You met them when you were here. There's a market over by her place. Let me pull them up right now. They specialize in selling locally raised farm produce, essentially. But like their beef. Let me look at the beef real quick, because this is so okay. New York strip. They're selling it for $17.99 a pound.
Damn.
Porterhouses, the same. Ground chuck, $5.99 a pound. Ground round, $6.99 a pound. T-bones, $17.99. Sirloin, $10 a pound. They do sausage in bulk, $2.99 a pound. They also do boneless, or is that bone in? No, that's boneless. Boneless chicken breast, $3.29 a pound. So I mean, that's all locally raised. They also have locally made cheeses. They have eggs, and they're reasonably priced. They do not have $7 a dozen eggs right now. Their eggs are like $3 a dozen. So
that's better than some places.
That's a lot better than a lot of places.
I'm going to send you just on Discord while we're on here. So to give you an idea of the prices in my area, I'm going to send you, this is the prominent butchery or butcher shop that's in my area. I'm just sending you to their shop thing. I want to get your live reaction on here.
Okay.
You look at their prices, and you might happen to know the prices in your area, and I'm curious to see how you would react to some of their prices. Because, I'm seeing your face right now. So for the people that are watching, his jaw basically just hit the floor. So to give people an example, I'm not going to name the business because, to be fair, in my area, they have very good quality meat. However, to get 3 pounds of sirloin tips, 3 pounds of center cut pork chops, 5 pounds of ground beef, and 2 whole chickens, it's $100.
Good God.
And that's something to where, realistically, if you have a family of 3, that'll probably last. It's maybe a week's worth, maybe 2 weeks, a week to 2. The average.
Okay, let me pull these guys up. What? Do you have their menu up?
Yeah, the one that I sent you. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So how many of what?
So 3 pounds of sirloin tips.
3 pounds of sirloin tips.
Yep.
Well, they don't have sirloin tips listed here. They probably have them. Would it be under anything else?
Maybe I'll find an easier one for you to look up here.
Okay.
So I have a better list here. This might be easier. 3 pounds of center cut pork chops. Or just 3 pounds
Okay,
of pork
so
chops.
pork chops. All right.
Mhm.
Let me get the old, as a friend of mine used to call it, the crankulator.
Sounds like something you do in private. Jesus.
Right. Okay, pork chops.
Yep.
Boneless.
Center cuts. Yeah, I believe they'd be boneless.
Yeah, boneless. How many pounds?
3.
Okay.
3 pounds of ground beef.
3 pounds of ground. So, okay.
1 pound of bacon.
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 Bacon right there.
2 pounds of Italian sausage.
Italian.
2 whole chickens. Realistically, that's probably 4 pounds of chicken.
Whole chickens. He's got them right here.
Oh, cool. And then 2 pounds of shaved steak.
Shaved steak.
Yes.
I will go with probably like round steak would probably be the closest thing.
Yeah. So how much does that come out to you for you?
71.18.
90.
And there's no food tax here. So it's 71.18.
Oh, we have a food tax here, so this would be closer to 100.
Yeah. No, that's $71.
Yeah. But anyways, the point I wanted to make with this is in America, in order to try and eat healthy, it's rather difficult, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We have several local markets around here that they're not great, but they have some stuff, but they're all very expensive. Getting homemade cheese is damn near impossible around here. To further that point, what I wanted to bring up, because of the scarcity and difficulty of getting healthy food or healthy food alternatives, is the rising chronic diseases in this country. And it's one of those things to where, do we blame people for what they eat? In a lot of ways, yeah. However, there has to be a bit of understanding here where, for a lot of people, it's actually difficult to find healthy alternatives for stuff. Especially if you grow up with the American food system. And I will say this, thanks Michelle Obama for completely fucking over the high school.
Michael Obama.
I'm not going there. Not even going there. But now you just derailed my whole thought. But no, don't you dare. No. FBI, I like my life. I'm good. I don't want to get whacked. I'm good. I have nothing against the Clintons or anyone else. I'm not getting involved. But what I was getting at is, unfortunately, there's not much access in many cases for people that have healthy alternatives to food.
Yeah. It's not so much as what they eat, it's what they're able to eat.
And the other problem is with a lot of these foods, they're designed to keep you hungry. They're not designed to be satiating. They're not designed to give you that protein intake. They're not designed to be filling. The issue is a lot of kids eat very calorically dense and empty things. And even people too as well. But once you're on that style, once you're on to eating that way nutritionally, it almost never ends. So,
let me butt in here. Oatmeal. Oatmeal is one of the worst things that you can eat, especially as a breakfast thing.
Yeah.
Because it spikes your insulin and can put your body into a chemically induced fight or flight mode. There has been a study. Yes, oatmeal too, buddy. There has been a study that was done. They gave kids a heavy protein like omelet for breakfast. They gave another group oatmeal, and they gave another group just like whatever. They checked blood levels, and they allowed them to eat as much as they wanted, as often as they wanted. The oatmeal group constantly had to eat. They were not getting filled. They weren't getting sustained. The omelet group, they almost never asked for more. So they were full. They were sustained. They were being held over. Blood levels were low. They had no cortisol, I think it is.
Low cortisol, yeah.
Yeah, they were much better off physiologically. So high protein, higher like good cholesterol, HDL, I think it is. Those are the types of meals you want to gravitate towards. Things like oatmeal, bad juju.
It's one of those things. What I will tell people, this in my experience with that, oatmeal, as in the Quakers, the stuff over the counter, the quick, easy stuff. You can get protein oatmeal, which is completely different. It behaves like oatmeal, but it's actually not oatmeal. That stuff is half decent. But really, anytime you start your day, you got to start with some proteins. Your fats, your carbs, and your protein. You have to. If you don't, you're going to be craving. You're not going to be.
Well, unless you're doing like a carnivore diet.
Well, that's totally different. That's a specialized. If you're doing a carnivore diet, all the power to you. That's awesome.
Something I'm kind of considering doing.
The problem is you got to really commit to it.
Yeah,
and it's not easy. But
no.
That being said, it's not for everybody, but for some people, definitely could work. But just be careful and be aware of what you're eating, because give you an idea with my experience. So when my girlfriend is home, she usually likes to cook breakfast. When she's not around, I'll be honest, I'm the world's worst morning person. I fucking hate waking up. So I just grab whatever and go, and I just kind of deal with my day. Or I'll end up just sitting there and be like, oh, great. So great, show what the fuck.
A can of Blur.
Well, I'll just grab one of these and like a protein bar and out the door, and it's fine. It's at least low cal. But when she's home and she makes something like, like an omelet is a big thing with us, because I have chickens, so we have fresh eggs, or something else that's protein based. My day is so much fucking better. Like, I'm starting off on the right foot, getting going. I feel better. It's one of those weird things where, as in America, because everything's such a rush, we don't take the time to make food in a proper fashion. And really, because everything's always on the go, businesses usually don't give you enough time to get a proper lunch. You have to grab something quick or do whatever. There's a reason why in other countries why they take 1 or 2 hours for lunch. It's short. Yes, I can make fun of the French saying they're lazy and they're whatever. I get it. But at the same point, I got to give them the credit. They give a 2-hour lunch so they can go home and fucking make food and take a quick nap and do whatever and then come back and work. And you know what? I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I get it.
They also have it right with their time off policies. I'll give them that.
Well,
and vacation and stuff. Oh, yeah.
It's almost like if you treat your employees well, they work better.
Exactly. It's a weird concept.
Imagine the shock. Happy employees make good products. Oh, that's a...
Who would have thought?
Apparently nobody in this country.
Yeah.
But getting back to the point, over 70% of U.S. adults are overweight or obese. And they're because...
Present.
Yeah. We're weighing that graph down with gravity, let me tell you. But the problem becomes when the number reaches that high. Yes, I would say a majority of those people that are overweight or obese, it's due to the culture, which I agree with. But at the same point, it must have to do with our system as well, with what we're allowed to eat. Because when everything is so saturated, you can't get away from unhealthy food. It's almost impossible.
That reminds me, there was a study done not long ago. The food that we eat today is so calorically deficient compared to the food that we had 50 years ago. Like our fruits and vegetables retain something like 30 to 40% of the nutrition. Not calorically dense, nutritionally deficient is what I meant to say. Yeah, our food is less nutritious today than it was 40, 50 years ago.
Now, do you know why?
The way it's been processed and grown and...
Not just that. But
words.
It's also the fact that we do not, as a country, do well enough in terms of fertilizing and basically adding nutrition back into the soil. One of the problems is with any single plant, any single fruit, vegetable, anything, it pulls everything from the soil. Well, when you every single year deplete what's in that soil and do not replant it, redo whatever, you're trying to just grow in bulk, en masse. You're not worried about the quality of it. At your point, a potato is a potato. You don't give a shit how good it is or not, because you're paid by the pound. You're not paid by the quality, at least for the most part. Which I know, yes, I'm aware there's quality standards and other stuff, but generalizing. So for most of these big companies, they don't care. So what if the tomato they grow is half as nutritionally dense? They just want it to be a bigger tomato. That's all they really care about. A lot of them care about the size of the product, so they get more per dollar, more per weight, or per volume. And that is a big issue. I noticed this because, growing up on this property here, we had horses, and we used to use the manure to grow cherry tomatoes. And I will tell you, I'm not somebody that even likes tomatoes that much, but the cherry tomatoes we could grow here, they were sweet. They're almost like candy, but they were natural.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were smaller, like cherry tomatoes. They're basically native to the area. But
well, yeah. I mean, I grew cherry tomatoes at my old place, but I can't stand tomatoes. I like pretty much everything tomato based, but I can't stand tomatoes.
Same. They were the only tomatoes that the way my grandfather grew them. But it's because they were 100% natural from the area. No GMO, no nothing. He had the seeds since like the 70s. And
oh, wow.
Just grow them every year. Same thing. I'm so mad at him. I can't find whatever type of carrot he grew. Because he used to grow carrots that like this long.
Damn.
And they were
they
were super juicy though. Like, so this is a little fun story. I went camping with a bunch of friends, and I brought with me as a snack, because I'm a fucking weirdo, I had a 5-gallon bucket of all the carrots that we just grew, because I wanted to munch on them. Well, we had about a 5-hour drive over to the other side of my state to go camping. I was so busy having fun, chatting with my friends, doing stuff, I ate about half the bucket worth of carrots. Let me tell you, the sheer panic on my face when my piss was bright orange. Thinking, mind you, I am out in the middle of the woods. We are away from civilization. We are like out there in the mountains. And I'm peeing in the background, going, am I gonna die? As it's just bright orange. So lesson learned: if you drink too much, I said drink too much. Yes, James, drink too. No, if you eat too many carrots, your piss can be orange.
Right.
But those carrots were so fucking good. It was
fun fact. If you drink a bunch of red food dye and then go pee, it'll be red. You can use that as a prank, just FYI.
A prank or a good way to go home from work?
Both.
Jesus Christ.
I want to do that, then go into like a public restroom at a Walmart and just scream bloody murder and just pee everywhere.
That's a weird kink. I haven't heard of that one before. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I don't like that. I start calling you the piss master.
I am not piss master. Thank you very much. He's weird.
But anyways, in America, we have a big problem with type 2 diabetes, or even diabetes in general. That's just due to the over-processed sugar that we see. So much sugar and everything. Cardiovascular disease, that's huge. Heart attacks, strokes, high blood pressure. Just due to all of the calorically dense foods just clogging up our cardiovascular system. A lot of cancers, metabolic syndromes, fatty liver disease is actually that's something that's really
that's getting real bad.
Yeah, because our livers are working
non-alcoholic fatty liver.
Yeah, because our livers are working overtime to try to figure out how to process all this stuff. What people need to realize is your entire body goes into almost part of the process of digesting your food. Everything has to pull from it. So the problem is, if you got parts of your body having to work double or triple overtime just to try to fucking figure out all those random chemicals and shit, it's got to go somewhere. Not everything goes out in your stool and your urine. Some of it is retained, which is a problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Which that's a fun thing. When some people start losing weight, they get really sick. And it's because stuff that's been held over in the fat cells starts to break down. Their body doesn't know how to deal with it. Mm-hmm. It's like when a bunch of druggies start to lose weight, they get high again.
What?
That can happen.
I never do that.
Yeah. Some drugs are fat soluble and they get stored in fat.
Like what?
And if they lose a bunch of weight, they can get really messed up.
Wait a minute, so which ones? I have no idea.
I don't remember which ones off the top of my head.
Okay.
But there are a couple of them.
That must have been crazy.
That it will store in fat, and then if you lose weight, you can get high just from losing weight.
Jesus.
So
imagine that euphoric runner's high, just in the middle of a run, then all of a sudden the LSD kicks in again, And then you're really running from the inner demons and the dragons and stuff like that.
The inner demons have become outer demons.
Oh my god, that'd be a great way to lose weight, though. Imagine that. Every 5 pounds you lose, you have a bad trip that makes you run another 5 or 10 miles. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Oh man, that'd be one way of doing it. And there is another note here about potential links to neurological conditions and mental health disorders. I would say that is probably a bigger thing than even we understand as of today. Anxiety and depression. I would say probably anxiety almost even a little bit more when it comes to
anxiety, depression. I'll even go down the slippery slope and say a lot of the potential gender issues that are being linked to mental health issues, autism, and the rates of diagnosis of it could be linked. I'm saying could be linked to the chemicals and the trickle down effect of all the stuff that's in our food, because at the end of the day, we do not know what's going into our bodies, altering stuff in our bodies, and being passed on.
Especially, you don't know how they're interacting with previous medications, anything else that's going on. If you have any other deficiencies as well, it's people don't understand. You have several hundred different variables when it comes to your nutrition, your diet, interacting with the several hundred variables of what you're eating. So it's like when you multiply that out, congratulations, you have 10,000 different fucking things to look at. And there's no doctor in the world that's going to 100% know 100% of what's going on. So, unfortunately, yes, nutrition is well studied, but we still don't even know 100% of what's happening. So, good luck ruling any of that out. It must be a contributing factor at this point. And especially with the amount of people that have changed their entire life around just by changing a diet. Like, Michaela Peterson, for example, Jordan Peterson's daughter. She had severe neurological and like issues with her antibodies and stuff like that. Whatever that's called,
like autoimmune type deal.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. But she switched to a carnivore diet, and all that cleared up within a matter of weeks. And now she's purely carnivore.
Really?
Yeah. And because she lives in Canada, it's better than America. But I think she probably moved to America at this point. But because of where they live, they did have access to some stuff, but they still had chemicals and things. I wonder if there's a lot of people that because they don't have access to actually clean food, they're always going to have these symptoms and these side effects, or to some point it's contributing to some factor. We'll never know how much, but I will say I think the number one problem I see for most people is you're going to see sleep issues with the way we eat, especially with the amount that we eat just before we go to bed, and when that stuff kind of hits you. And definitely, I would say anxiety's up there too, with a lot of people that just have too much sugar, too much stuff, too many highs and lows and crashes throughout the day. It just completely displaces your mood. So
insulin resistance is a big thing.
100%.
Yep. So pay attention to what you put in your mouth and put in your body. Read your food labels. Try to shop local as best you can. Do what you can, where you can, when you can, how you can.
Oh yeah.
Try to change your life for the better.
And so, as someone that I've lost a bunch of weight once, and I'm in the process of doing it again. And I have a few other friends that have lost a ton of weight. In America, it's tough. There's no doubt about it. But sorry, something's caught in my throat. But one of the things I would say is in this country, it's very hard to actually eat healthy, 100%. All you do is find better substitutions. I joke I'm not eating healthy, I'm eating less bad.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way you have to look at it, is make the minor changes.
That's how a lot of us do that.
But that's all you can do, because no matter what you eat in this country, it's going to be bad. Unless you're literally doing grilled chicken and rice, and you basically have to grow the rice yourself at that point, slaughter the chicken yourself. Besides that, it's going to have crap in it. So, hate to say it.
But at least it's not Indian street food crap that you're eating.
No, it's not literal feces. that is a step up. I mean, God. But I guess the good thing going forward is, as controversial as RFK is, at least
Brainworm.
As controversial as Captain Brainworm is, he is also trying to make the right decisions in terms of food and making people aware and holding some of these companies accountable. Now, whether it will actually happen, I really don't know. The presidency. This term is still young with this president and with RFK and all that. And so we're gonna see. But hopefully,
Yeah, we're barely over 100 days right now.
Yeah, I feel like a lot's already happened. So
it feels like it's already been 4 years. What are you talking about?
well, the last one didn't seem to ever fucking end. My
You
God.
ain't kidding.
But that's a whole nother COVID thing with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I will say it's refreshing to see press conferences from the White House. It's good to see questions get asked and coherent answers coming out.
And I will give
What?
the Trump camp a bit of a thumbs up for this point. They introduced the new media seat, where they have people from smaller media companies. They come in and get a special seat in the White House to ask questions, and they're allowed to ask more questions. So that way, you get the new
That's
people
cool.
always in there. So like Tim Pool was in there the other day, asking
Okay.
like very important questions. So I think that's great. I'm glad they're doing it. Hopefully that they will bring more stuff up, like our food issue with the FDA and everything else going on.
Yeah. We should have all the listeners make Truth Social accounts at the president and at the president's staff, and have them do podcast people. Let us go up there and ask questions.
No. For the sake of both of our careers, no.
Let me ask the
No.
president questions.
No. Because you'd be asking things like, actually, I don't even know if I can say that on the podcast, but you'd be asking some wild stuff.
Nah, I could keep it professional. I'd probably get a poll together and find out the good questions that we would want asked.
Fair enough.
I could do a job like that, right? Not cock it up too much.
Okay, that's good to know, because I figured your first question out of the gate would be something ridiculous.
Maybe not the first one.
Okay, fair enough. Oh man.
But yeah, any what's that?
I guess that kind of wraps up what we're going to talk about today.
More or less. Did you have anything else to add in?
No, I was going to say, Chad, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now while we kind of wrap this up. That way we can answer them in the next couple of minutes if you have any. What I was definitely going to say is, if you guys want to do a little research at home, have fun looking up and comparing the U.S. food standards to other countries. We've done obviously a bit of research here, but it is a very deep rabbit hole that you can look forward and look through for hours and hours.
Oh yeah,
and it's something to where I could not tell you all the details. We'd have to spend a long time looking at it. One of the things we will be discussing in the future is our alphabet agencies, things like the FDA, FBI, all that kind of stuff, and
our best friends at FEMA.
Oh God. So the FDA part, that's why we really didn't touch on it much here. We kind of loosely touched on it. I have a whole goddamn rant about the FDA, and I'm sure you have one about FEMA and a few other ones. That's probably gonna be a 2-parter episode, to be honest with you, because I don't know if we'll be able to do it all in 2 hours.
Yeah,
I really don't think so, but. Yeah, I think the only thing I know Osad was asking was what creamer had the titanium stuff in it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I know you had that up. Oh, gotta sneeze. No, not during the podcast. Oh, thank God. No sneeze.
Most popular coffee creamers, particularly in liquid form, these include, but are not limited to, Coffee Mate. Basically everything from Coffee Mate, Land O'Lakes, Walden Farms. Those are the ones that gives me off the top.
Oside is freaking out in chat. Don't you love drinking the titanium?
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it just goes to show, like with what Oside's calling out in chat, like it's almost
everywhere
in this country, and this is going to take generations. This is not going to be something we're going to fix today or even 10 years from now. We're just hitting the tip of the iceberg, and unfortunately, this is because we've had generations of people not involved with this stuff. And I don't mean to blame anybody. This is not a blame thing, but it's just, this is what happens with any government when people don't regulate it, you know? So,
This is what happens when you let money talk.
yeah. So I encourage people, get involved, you know, sign up.
Yeah.
You know?
And if anybody noticed my background today, if you can call it out, I won't say it here, and nobody who knows from earlier gets to call it out. But if you know what this is from, let me know.
It's from a movie.
It is from a movie.
All right.
And I thought it was fitting for today.
I cannot confirm or deny. Nice, Ozad. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up in terms of this specific episode. I did want to give a shout out to everybody and say, thank everyone for interacting with us online. We've been seeing a big uptick in the views lately. We've been noticing the episodes. We appreciate all the shares, all the likes, comments, everything. It means a lot to us. As of today, we have the account. I made the account and everything. We're going to be going forward and starting to do more clips as well and getting things going. That I'm excited for. I am going to be trying some format changes as well with a few of the videos and trying to get some background stuff and some other things. I kind of want to step it up and make it look even more professional. So that's going to be going forward. So let us know any suggestions in the comments of any of the videos about things such as, either formatting changes in terms of how the video is structured or background or anything else. Just feel free to let us know because I'm open to suggestions with it. I have a few ideas.
I did not listen to the audio from the past couple, but are you still putting in the background music?
You know what? I haven't been. No one said anything.
Okay.
I did it for the
I know
one.
it was brought up and we did it on the one.
Yep, I did it on the one. I wanted to see what people were going to say. So
okay, we got no feedback.
I heard nothing positive or negative, so
okay.
I figure maybe we will, maybe we won't. Who knows?
Okay.
I know with us, generally, we are pretty good at fucking blabbing and talking, so I mean, there's not much dead space, but who knows?
Not really.
But really, besides that, anything else you'd like to any other closing comments?
No, I would personally like a little bit of feedback if anybody sees us on the little reels that I make on Instagram, because I don't do the Insta page very much, so I know that I'm reusing a lot of the same shit over and over and just putting a little bit of new music to it. But thoughts on the music that I do and the shit that I do for those reels, because I don't do that stuff. I'm not a young person. And I don't use the Insta page whatever crap. I don't make reels.
Neither do I.
So
you know what I'll do? I'll talk to my girlfriend about it because she used to manage a big social media page.
Okay.
I'll ask her about stuff. You know what I was thinking about? I want to see what chat would say about this too. What if we used AI to make like art photos and cover pages for the different episodes, depending? I'm curious to see what people would say if they'd want like separate ones for that. Because if we're going to be investing AI and using some stuff, maybe that'd be kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
yeah. What about TikTok, Gibbs?
What about TikTok? That's literally what the AI thing's gonna be for. So that's all the clips that we can put on there. Mm-hmm. Although granted, yes, I know I've been slacking on it. I am aware. So
where are the clips at, Gibbs?
Not on TikTok.
No.
But
not on anywhere.
They will be. That's the point of what we're doing.
Yeah.
But the only reason Oside in the chat why I'm recommending the AI thing is because I just simply cannot afford to hire somebody from Fiverr to make a different cover photo for each episode.
Hell no.
So I figure it's the easiest way. And let me tell you, if it's music you want, I can do it. If it's drawing you want,
oh yeah,
I
cannot do it.
I can sign my name. I got kicked out of.
I can draw a potato.
I got kicked out of art class. That's how bad I am. So
I can draw some stick figures.
Same.
But we can wrap up the episode and take it to the after show if you want.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if anybody wants to join for the after show shenanigans, hit us up on Twitch. We typically hang out for a little while after the episode and just shoot the shit for a little while. Twitch.tv/now_we_consume_podcast. The links are up on our socials page in the Discord. The Discord is on every episode's description notes.
Oh, yeah.
So join us, become one of us, one with us. Other than that, you got anything?
No, I think we're good. We've covered it.
All right, buddy. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. We love you all, and we'll see you next time.